want to learn to read, action reading's what you need. You're really gonna show them how.
Hello, I'm Jeanie Eller, and I want to congratulate you on the first step of becoming a fluent reader. That is getting the action reading program. I've been a classroom teacher for 36 years. I have used this particular program for 25 years, and I'm going to be your teacher through this wonderful program that was originally developed for school use by a wonderful man named Dr. George Cureton. This program is going to take you all the way from understanding where we got our system of reading and writing to being a fluent, independent reader. Now, whether you are an adult or a student who is still in school, you need to start at the beginning. You need to understand the 7 principles of how a person learns to read. And you don't even have to study those or know exactly what they are, but you have to have them in your mind to become a fluent reader. The first one of these is understanding that words are made of sounds, and you put the sounds together to make words. And that's probably the step that you've been missing, because for many years they did not teach this in the public schools. So they're just now starting to reintroduce this information into the schools, and hopefully we won't have to keep on working with older children and adults. But for now, we want to solve your problem and turn you into a good, fluent, independent reader. So you may have already looked through the workbook, and probably the first thing you looked at was this kind of a page. And you thought, oh my gosh, that looks so babyish. I already know my letters. I already know my ABCs. Well, this is not really what you're looking at. You're not really looking at ABCs, and you're going to find that out as you start listening to the tapes. This video is just an overview of the program. However, you can watch it over and over. It will help you to understand the process of learning to read. But the audio tapes that are included in your program are going to take you every single step of the way through the program. I'm going to be there as your teacher. You can back it up and play it over as many times as you want to until you have the skills down solid. But when you look at this page, I don't want you to be alarmed, because if you look further back in your book, you're going to see pages that look like this. Now, if you can read this story right now and you can answer these questions fluently, then what you really need to work on are some of the other skills, such as spelling and vocabulary. But if you cannot read this story fluently and independently and answer these questions, and if you cannot fluently read a newspaper or the Constitution or a contract or any of the kinds of things that you would need to use when you're reading for a job, then you need to go through this entire program, and you need to start at the beginning.
Whether you're a preschooler, a student that's struggling in school, a college student, or even a senior citizen,
you need to start at the beginning. Many times teachers think that if a child is in the 8th grade and they're reading at a 4th grade level, if they put them in a 4th grade book, that will solve their problem. Or they think if it's a high school student who can't read well, or a college student, if they just back them up into an elementary school book, maybe that'll solve the problem. But that's not the answer. The answer is that you're missing the very first steps. And you think about it this way. If you were going to build a house, you couldn't start by putting on the roof first. You'd have to put down a foundation, you'd have to put up the walls, and then you could put on the roof. Taking someone who's in 8th grade and trying to put them back in a 4th grade book would be like saying, well, gosh, I can't put the roof up, so I think I'll stick in the windows. That won't work either. You've got to have that solid foundation, and that's what we're going to do first, is give you this solid foundation. Now, what I'm talking about are the sounds of our language. So let me show you some things that are going to help you learn how to make these sounds. This is a picture of an apple. Now, these things that I'm going to show you, we call these the Alphamobile. These are actually from our school program. In your program, you're going to have a set of cards with these same pictures, but they're going to be desk size for you to use at home. These are from the school program, but just to show you how it works, I'm going to use these to illustrate the process. This picture is an apple. Now, when I say the word apple, what sound do you hear at the beginning? Of course, you hear ah. That's the sound that pulls the word. We call it the engine sound because just like an engine pulls a train, the beginning sound of a word pulls the word. So this is an apple, and you hear the beginning sound, which is ah. This is a book, and you hear the beginning sound, which is b. And this is a can. You hear the beginning sound, which is k. Now, what do we do with these sounds? We put them together to make words. So we have a can, ka, an apple, a, and a book, b. And if we say those sounds, ka, a, b, and we slide those sounds together from left to right a little faster, cab, the word cab comes right out of our mouth. This is the first step of learning to read, the awareness that words are made of sounds, and you can put those sounds together and you can take them apart and you can put them in different orders. Now, why do we do this first step with pictures? Because if we start with just the letters, you'll probably start calling them by the letter names, because letter names are what you learned. You learned your A, B, C's. But A, B, C's are not what you use to read. You have to know the sounds.
It's just like musical instruments. The names of the instruments do not make music. The sounds make the music.
Let me illustrate this for you. If you know the names of these letters for this word, W-I-S-H, and you try to say those letter names, W-I-S-H, W-I-S-H, it doesn't make a word. And sometimes teachers think that if you know the names of the letters, that's close enough to the sounds that you'll figure out what the sounds are. But that isn't true in this case. Think about this. W, W, what would you think that sound would be? D, D. I, and S and H. D, I, S, H. That still isn't going to make a word. You have to know the sound. The sound for this letter is not D, even though the name of it is W. The sound is W, W. This sound is I, and these two together say sh. Now, if you know those sounds, wa, I, sh, wish will come right out of your mouth. But you don't have to wish that you can read. You can actually learn these sounds, and you can learn to read very easily. Learning to read is really a simple process if someone shows you how it works. In English, we have 26 letters in our alphabet. We have 44 different sounds that we make with our mouth when we talk. 44 different sounds that go together in different combinations to make 1 million words in English. And there are 70 ways to write down those 44 sounds. And you're going to learn all 70 of those. That's the code of English. That's the alphabetic code that enables you to immediately read every word you speak, every word you understand, and you can become an independent learner, and you can learn anything that you want to learn. As you go through this program, you're going to find out about all of these 70 phonograms. You're going to have a lot of fun doing this because the program is done with songs and games and activities, and all of the drill is in game form and song form. It's really going to be a fun program to go through. All of the instruction is on your tapes. I'm going to take you step by step through the process. You're going to learn about where we got our alphabet, our letters. Let me show you just one.
If you want to